Hey, welcome to Texas Tuesday Live. Today we're talking about Texas property taxes. I know many of you have had some questions on how it works here in Texas. So I am here with my team and they're going to help answer your questions. If you have a question, put them in the comments below and we'll try to answer them during the live stream. And because I'm still low tech, I'm just going to walk the computer around so you can hear people. My son was supposed to help me this week and he ran out of time. He was building my YouTube room, so I can't wait for you to see my new YouTube studio on the next, it'll be a few videos before you see it. Okay, well, let's get started. Go ahead and post your comments if you have a question about property taxes or anything about Texas real estate. But I want to share, here's our team here.
Hello.
So share a little bit, who wants to talk a little bit about maybe the rates? What can you expect for rates on property taxes? Kevin, you're the man. You're the man.
So typically in Texas, and we were just talking about this in California, your property taxes are going to be higher. Now, Vanessa back behind me, she used to live in California, where she was saying that property taxes in California may only be 1.3%, but you're paying that on $900,000. I like to say that property taxes are double in Texas, but your home value is about half. So the math equals out, even though we might be at 2.6, 2.75 property tax percent, but we are going to range from approximately 2% on the low end in Frisco, about 3% maybe in a new build community for property taxes.
Okay, so Julia, you were sharing earlier about homestead exemption. Can you share maybe a little bit about the exemption opportunities?
Yes. The homestead exemption actually was put into play several years ago to get people to move to Texas. And what it does is it's you apply for it in January. You have a time frame. It starts in January, and we always send a link out to everybody to get them to the website. But what it does is in Texas, in the state of Texas eyes, it lowers the value of your home. And that's a good thing because that's what you're going to be taxed on. We're always kind of freaked out a little bit when we get our card in the mail because we're like, oh, our house is worth so much more than what Texas thinks it is. And then we're like, oh yeah, no, this is the homestead exemption. So that's what we're taxed on for property tax. Mm-hmm. So it's a great savings.
Yeah, so it can range from $5,000 up to 20% for a homestead exemption, depending on the city. Now, right. Bob, you were sharing, you moved, 6 years ago?
Yeah, just about 6 years ago. Yeah, I came from LA, came from Los Angeles, and I was very used to those property taxes there. And what I have found is when I was able to come from LA, come here, get a house, and my property taxes were higher. However, with the cost, the essentials month in and month out, your gas, your food, your insurance, your electricity, I was actually able to save 6% year over or month over month, I should say. And that was simply because we don't have state income tax here in Texas, whereas California and I did. So I was able to then turn around and save us 6% monthly, which turned out to be an additional $12,000 a year.
That's amazing. Yes, sir.
In fact, I always ask, and that's how when they complain about, everybody complains even here about property taxes. But the main thing is that if you think about electricity, you just mentioned that. So on average, California pays about like 3 times what we pay on the rate per kilowatt. So we're about like 10 cents per kilowatt or under, and they are about 33 on average. So that cost is basically triple your electrical bill.
Yeah, they have a monopoly out there. They have PG&E. Yeah. In California, Southern California Edison, as anyone that's leading this from Southern California
Department of Water and Power.
Yep, and then you have PG&E, who is up north, and it's pretty much just a monopoly when it comes down to electricity. So, but out here, where we have a privatized system, and with our privatized system, we are then afforded lower rates.
Okay, you have more to share on it?
I really thought it was neat when you come out here. You can kind of shop electric companies, so you can get the best rate. So you don't really have that option. It's like this is the the electric company that services your whole area, and that's it. So you can save some money there too. So that's all.
I did have one thing to say about that. Not all of us have choices. Where we live, we don't. However, we're close enough to some hospitals that's last year we were on the hospital grid, and we never lost power during the snowmageddon. But we don't have a choice with electricity. So I feel like, we're kind of thinking because we live close to this hospital is why, we don't have a choice, so
Could
possibly.
be.
I don't know.
Tri-County is the one that it's a co-op.
Yeah,
But because it's a co-op, I hear they're lowering rates.
it is true. It is. Yeah.
And so it's not a bad thing if you're in the co-op because
And we
it's
should
just
be
not a
doing
bad
that.
thing.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
true.
you
You have
I
better
have-
ways to, anything you can
I
find.
have 2 properties. One of my properties is in a co-op and it is still very competitive. So I don't have a choice with that one. But the other property, I can kind of like shop and figure out what has
So
the better.
we're supposed to be talking about property taxes, but now
And
that
we-
we're talking
Oh, we're talking about
electricity.
Sorry.
Oh, but this is a great
I
question. This
lost
is a
the
great
plot.
question that I have because I have several clients who have had rolling blackouts on a regular basis in California.
Mhm.
Can you share more about that? Because we just had it one time in our life here in Texas for
Mhm.
Oh, it happens a lot now that I think about it. It does.
California.
Yeah, it's scheduled. So the
It's
electric
scheduled.
company will just send out a notice and, plan for your power to be out and you better eat all your food out the refrigerator. And
Yes.
yeah,
How long do those blackouts
they
last?
last from like it'll usually be, they try to make it at a convenient time, so like when people are asleep, so it'll be like in the middle of the night sometimes, or sometimes it'll be in the middle of the day, but most people are at work.
Well, what
So
about people who are at home or work nights?
it'll be like maybe about 4 hours.
Yeah.
Whoa!
Yeah, that's not too bad. wait, that's what you got. Yeah, and it's at one point it felt like it was happening like every month. So it'll be like one neighborhood and then it's like, hey, have you had one? I'll tell my friends. And they'll say, no, I haven't had mine. And then a couple weeks later they'll have theirs. So I guess that's why it's rolling, because it'll go from one neighborhood
Okay.
to the next.
So
Keep
we
everybody equally miserable.
equally miserable.
They make sure that everybody gets it. It's just not like few. Everybody. They spread the hate.
So
That's why I guess I didn't really freak with the Snowmageddon. It's like,
Yeah, been there.
yeah, many people were like, that's it. I'm not moving to Texas because of your rolling blackout. I'm like, that happened like once in our whole entire lives. I don't know, but whoa. Okay, let's go back to taxes. Anyone else have some thoughts on taxes?
Well, I would just want to add about the homestead exemption. So it does give you the tax break in a way, but it gives you a lot more than that. So homestead is also gives you legal rights. So once you have a homestead file, basically almost nobody can take the house from you unless it's the IRS and your lender, basically, if you have a mortgage in the house.
Interesting.
But if you have like any credit debt, anything else happening, any legal problems, nobody can touch the house. So that homestead it also helps you with that castle law that we have. So if you have a homestead and you choose to protect your house or your property, having a homestead file really helps you if anything happens. So basically it gives you a lot more legal rights than just your tax break. So definitely.
Interesting.
Definitely.
Yes.
Homestead exemption. So don't assume that the homestead exemption is based off the total sale price. Okay, so let's say your home is $1 million. So don't assume that just because you got 20% tax break, all of a sudden now you're taxed on $800,000. So in our state, we have multiple tax rates all rolled into one. You have the hospital tax, you have the school tax, you have the city tax, you may have the mud, the pit. So the homestead exemption usually is only applicable to the city. The city, let's say a Flower Mound. All the other taxes may have different exemptions as well, but lower. So remember, it's only a break on one of those tax. So I just don't want to have people assume that.
Agreed.
Yeah. So just so you know.
That's a good point.
Mhm.
That's a very good point. Any other final tax comments or thoughts or?
Yeah, let's talk about purchase price and kind of taxes, how we have right now. So if you guys are checking out realtor.com to get an estimate for what the property taxes are now, if that seller has owned the house for, a year, a couple years, 5 years, we also have a 10% cap in Texas where, say you have a $600,000 house, it can't go up past $660,000 each year over year. And so if they're capped on that, or even if they have just challenged their property taxes to fight to keep them lower, and they're only paying $600,000, but your purchase price that you're under contract is $800,000, just know that that property tax is going to jump once on the next year once you guys get that. Once you close and you start on that. Now, when you get prorated at the closing, it's only going to be based off of what they were paying taxes on. So now you've had quite a jump. Expect to be paying on that new purchase price because it's going to get reported to the appraisal district.
I think that's a great point. And we work really closely with a team of lenders because they really help with all of that. So our expertise is going to be in helping you find a home, finding the perfect city for you, negotiating the contract, all of that part of it. And we like to refer you to our team of lenders for the specific questions on what will the taxes be on this home and how does that affect my monthly payment each month. Whenever you're looking at putting in a contract on a home, we can literally just send the address to a lender and ask them for a monthly price, the mortgage payment, and then they can add in the HOA and the taxes, whether it's a MUD or a PID, and then they're going to be able to tell you what to expect after closing when you're actually paying on the purchase price of the home, not just what the sellers are paying on.
Yeah. So I agree with Katie. So I recommend that you speak with the lender for the exact, what you're going to be billed because they're the financing experts. And by the way, when you buy a new home, it may not be the purchase price. It's actually market value regardless, right?
Okay.
But it's a non-disclosure state. So unless it's in the MLS, they're not going to see your purchase price. But if it's in the MLS, it's probably going to be pretty close.
Okay, well,
You have some thoughts on it?
Yeah, our lender, Aaron, he just recently shared with me that when you buy a home, the tax appraisal district will probably send you a letter and ask you, what did you purchase your home for? You're not obligated to answer that because if you don't answer that, they don't know. Because the appraiser don't have
That's
access to the
gold.
solds, right? They really don't have
Right.
access to the solds. So it may not be taxed on your sale price because they can only go up so much each year. So when the new home is purchased, you don't know. It
Yeah.
could still be.
I would say
So ask the lender.
I would say though, the majority of the time, if it's in the MLS, it's no coincidence. The majority of the time it ends up being that price. And maybe not always, but yeah, that's a very, very good tip though. Don't fill that form out.
Yeah. If you fill a form out that you say that your house sold for way less, can you get in trouble?
I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Good
Just I have to ask.
Good question.
That was the little devil in you.
All right, I don't see any comments, but I'm going to let you guys go. If you have any questions, you can still post them and we can respond. Also, feel free to fill out the Dream Home questionnaire. If you are thinking about moving to Texas, we are happy to help. We have experts. So many experts just right in this room. And Katie has something to share.
I always share because you don't share it. Like and subscribe for more Texas real estate info.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just assume you will. If you like it, you'll subscribe. All right, guys. Thanks so much and have a great, great day.
Why are you using my purse?